Hey, everybody, we are so excited. Easter is on the way, and we want to talk today about how you can maximize this season, not just the Easter day, but actually this whole calendar year. We're going to talk about how Easter can add momentum to your church. And I'm so excited to be here with Bree. Bree, you've been with VisitorReach from the very beginning,
Yeah.
and you played so many different roles. And now today you're playing interviewer. So this is awesome to
Yeah,
get to
so
talk with you.
awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here and just really great to sit with you as a co-founder of Visitor Reach and also that you play such a unique role as a senior pastor of a local church.
Yeah, it's my honor to be part of the founding team. And, my day to day is serving as lead pastor in Dreamers Church. But then I have a little bit of weekly responsible that I really help keep the focus of the company and the product to where it truly serves the local church. And so it's really fun to get to talk about this today.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited and I know Easter is around the corner, so I want to ask you, why is Easter such a big deal?
Yeah, it's funny because when most pastors know Easter is going to be your highest attended Sunday of the year, then it's Christmas, then Mother's Day, typically for most churches. But the reason the numbers tend to spike is not simply because a lot of visitors come. It's because if a church has a 60% attendance and it moves to 95% attendance on one day, then that's going to be a massive spike. It's going to take a church that averages 200 in attendance to 300 that actually doesn't represent any growth. It just
Hmm,
represents a day where the whole world says, I'm going to be present.
right.
And what I love about Visitor Reach, your team, and what everyone does is they help actually change that narrative. One, to bring visitors in, but not just on Easter, but throughout the whole year.
Yeah, very true, very true. And digital outreach is so important in this culture that we live in. Why would you say that that's the case?
Yeah, having a background in mobile apps and different things that I've been able to do over the years, I've watched this trend where people used to connect. Back in the day, people connected through a yellow pages, a phone book, and now today, people open up a mobile app and they say, Google Maps or Hey Siri or whatever it may be, show me some restaurants near me, and that's how they explore and find new things. And so for the church, digital technology and digital evangelism and everything in that space becomes such a bigger value equation because it's where the world's at. And
Yeah.
Jesus made it really clear we need to be where the world's at and be an influence there.
For sure, yeah, and even just reaching out to people where they're at is so important.
Yeah.
How did your church personally break out of that gospel of come
Yeah.
mentality?
That's a great question. I would have to say, the pandemic shifted a lot of
Mm,
things, a lot of
yeah.
mindsets. And before the pandemic, just posting a picture and saying, this is who we are, come and see, people would come, they would connect. And we were seeing lost people come to Christ through some of those methods. And people were able to share a post to friends and they would come. And then in the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen that the narrative has changed to where people don't just come because they see a picture or something. And we really felt a mandate to not just how people come and see, but Jesus said to go where they're at, go preach the good news, go and make disciples, go to the highways and byways and
Yeah.
bring everyone in. And what we found is that if we would, rather than just posting a picture or doing an invite card that said come and see, we switched our outreach in both those areas to be we like to say it's a hey what's up
Hmm, that's good.
invitation, that we want
Yeah.
to meet people right where they're at and say hey what's up, and build relationship that often takes 12 to 15 kind of connect points and
Yeah.
prayers and everything before people actually come and see the church. We like to say that we try to love people so well until they finally ask why.
Yeah, that is awesome, and it seems like you've had some experience, and seeing, like, what works well, what doesn't work well. Could you maybe share a little bit of what are 5 things you'd encourage pastors to do to shift from that mentality of come to go?
Yeah, as I think about where churches are at right now, pastors they want to reach more people. Most pastors would love to see their church grow in a
Yeah.
healthy way, and Easter becomes this moment where they can just try to do something big. And what we encourage them to do is rather than looking at one day, let's create a rhythm. We've seen our church continue to grow in by significant amounts each year, and we're seeing lots of people get saved. We're seeing water baptisms every month because we're reaching lost people. And it starts with first just saying, I'm going to invest in this idea of going and reaching people. Like I'm going to sow into this. It's going to be a value equation. Uh, but even more than that, I wrote down just a couple thoughts of what I would say to a pastor. And, first is that, but second would be to offer meaningful year round engagement with people that's not just about events, but
Right.
is actually reaching people right where they're at, building relationship and giving them opportunities to visit the church. And Easter's a great opportunity for someone
For
that's
sure.
far from God to go, okay, everyone's going, I'll go check this out. And what we've really tried to say is let's go from mass communication to personal reach.
Wow.
And let me explain that. With the Visitor Reach app, how we do it when someone comes into the app, we don't say, hey, you should come to our church. We say, how are you doing? What
Hmm.
is going on in your world?
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed at how people start just over text. It's like they're used to pouring their heart, not face to face, but in a digital world. They'll pour out
Very
their
true.
heart. We'll be praying for them. We'll be believing for a breakthrough. They'll share with us where their anxiety points are. And
Yeah.
what's amazing is once they sense we love them,
Mm.
they're like, "Hey, tell me more about your church." Like, they start asking us to invite
Yeah.
them, and it's that love them until they ask why mentality, and so
Mhm.
switching from mass communication we did the big mailers as a church and spent a lot of money back in the day. Churches will spend ten to $25,000 inviting people to Easter and see no long-term effects. We now with use just visitor reach and we
Wow.
see what? This is so cool.
Yeah.
Our largest attended Sunday of the year, um, it is Easter, but our second largest is the week after Easter.
Really? Wow.
Because of the rhythms of just continually talking, there's tons of people that don't come to Easter that card no longer works with, but we reach out to them and say, "Hey, were you able to visit? How are things going?" And they'll
Yeah.
say, "Oh, this came up, that came up," because there is a devil that doesn't want them coming to our church.
Sure. Yeah.
And we get the opportunity to address that need, and then they say, "You know what? I'm gonna come this Sunday." It's a phenomenon that's amazed us 3 years in a row of using Visitor Reach, seeing that second largest attendance on that Sunday. I would say, to pastors that are watching that one of the things that we work hard at doing is also engaging with our local community
Hmm.
through digital technology. And that's something I don't understand it, but your team and those smart people over there, they've figured out how to make us to where we're seen. When someone says, show me a church near me, we pop up, we're
Yeah.
top of list. And not only that, but they're not just coming to our church, but they're often stepping into the visitor reach experience and saying, "Hey, I've been looking for a church. Tell me about your church." And what's amazing when they show up, they'll be like, "Yeah, I did the normal thing. I looked at 20 churches, but there was one thing that stood out about your church." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"What is that?" As a pastor. And they say, we had someone texting us back and forth, talking about us. They told us about kids. They answered maybe they had a doctrinal question. Maybe they had just a concern. But they go, we just never had someone do that. Everyone puts their information on a website and says, come and see. You guys actually came into our world and met us there. Thank you, Pastor. And it's so cool. So
Yeah.
I would encourage churches to do those things.
Yeah, well, that is amazing. Such great advice, Poncho. Thank you for sharing that. And, we just believe that God is always at work, behind the
Yep.
scenes. And it's our job as the local church to activate and go out and reach his children. So, yeah, I just want to encourage our pastors who are listening to really take that step, be bold and say, what God are you wanting me to do
Yeah.
in this moment of time. People are in the technological world and we want
Yep.
to reach out to them there. So I would just encourage any pastors who are watching to just take that step of scheduling a 15-minute call with us. We want to hear about your story, what God is doing in your church, and how we can resource you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just take that step, click the link below, and we want to resource you, talk with you, and schedule a meeting with one of our team members. And we just can't wait to see the impact that churches are going to make.
Yeah, and I would say this to any pastor watching, just so you know, the whole team over at VisitorReach, all of them are involved in their local church. They understand the weights and challenges that you face. And so taking some time to meet with them, it's not going to be any kind of high pressure. It's just going to be, here's what we do. Tell us a little bit about your world, and let's see if there's a winning opportunity for you to do more than just Easter promotion. But what if we did this year round and could see the church filled with lost people, new people to the city, see salvations and water baptisms go through the roof because we chose to invest in reaching people right where they're at? We can't wait to hear your testimony.